Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Mindshifters Radio with your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Rice, and his wife, Jeanie. Michael and Jeanie share with you the wisdom of the ancient Aramaic internal process of forgiveness. They offer tools and support 5 days a week. They will support you in building a solid foundation within yourself to live in pure love. In Aramaic, Rachma. Michael is the author of So Why Is This Happening to Me Again? For more information on Michael and Jeanie, please visit www.whyagain.com. And now your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael and Jeanie Rice.
To the brightness within you, and the truth that is rooted within me.
Hi, and welcome to Mindshifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Rice. Our call-in number is 646-200-4169. Press 1, and that puts you in the queue to talk to Michael. And we already have a few people listening. And the chat room seems to be slow coming up. If you're not in there yet, hit refresh. Today is our Memorial Day celebration, 339. Welcome, Michael, to the show.
Thank you, sweetie. And we have a tough assignment today. Jeanie and I are laying on, well, actually, I'm laying on the beach doing the show. Jeanie walked up. We were both laying on the beach here in Jacksonville, Florida, and she walked up to be able to get the computer hooked up to wireless so that she could do the switchboard. But here I am stuck on the beach. It's just one of those tough assignments. And after 18 days of workshops and 38 workshops in 42 days, we're ready for it. So we're getting a few days of quiet time before we start here in Jacksonville at Unity of Jacksonville, down on Lomax. If anybody is in the Jacksonville Beach area, the Jacksonville, Florida area, we'll start on Sunday, and we'll start Sunday morning doing 2 services, and then Why Is This Happening to Me Again in the afternoon, our forgiveness work, Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, with free workshops. Everybody and anybody is welcome. And then on Saturday, a week from Saturday, we'll do the one workshop that we charge a fee for when we travel. It'll be an all-day, very deep process-oriented workshop called Mindshifters and Stillpoint Breathing. So if you're in this area, come and play with us. We'd love to see you. If you have a question or a thought for us on the show, our call-in number is 646-200-4169, and if you hit 1, that should put you in the queue. If it doesn't put you in the queue, if you hear Jeanie and I talking, she says, well, nobody's pushed 1. If you would maybe just quickly hang up and call back again or hit the 1 again, and we've been having some problems the last few days with the switchboard. And our Memorial Day, our honoring of Memorial Day and Veterans Day comes out of our choice to put an end on planet Earth to war. And the way we plan to do that, our strategy is to create a large enough community of people who know how to be responsible and know how to end the game of blame, that it's all somebody else's fault. And if we can just get rid of somebody else, then our problems will go away. You know, we'll invite you with a tongue-in-cheek line that says if you've been through a particular painful reality 87 different times with 42 different people, you'll notice you're the only one that was there every time. The output of your mind, your realities are about you. But when we live in denial, when I say, you made me, I hide a part of my mind from myself, that part that holds my pain. And I can no longer access that part that holds my pain until I understand and apply the Aramaic technology of forgiveness. We've been taught in the world that forgiveness is about I let you off the hook for what's happening inside of me. And that's a totally, completely, 100% backward idea. It has nothing to do with forgiveness. Forgiveness is the tool with which you go inside yourself and you remove the root of your hostility and fear. You remove that which you've been in denial of, and you put an end to your pain. As you start to put an end to your pain, who needs war anymore? Who needs to blame anybody? Who needs to get rid of anybody? Let's create communities all around the globe that are based in that thinking, and as we do, we're going to meet in or walk into an ancient idea that was expressed by the man named Yeshua, the physicist, who said a little leavening leavens the whole loaf. He was talking about critical mass in physics. He wasn't talking about a loaf of bread. If you become the leavening, if you become the space of active love, then you become one vote for that critical mass happening. And we don't have to go around and tap every violent, every rageful person on the planet on the shoulder and get them to listen to, believe, or engage in forgiveness. We just need a critical mass. We just need enough people through the gate who will do that work of forgiveness, that there will be a light created that will be so bright that everyone will turn to it and say, I want some. That's the critical mass that leavens the whole loaf of humanity. If you're not familiar with this process we're talking about called forgiveness, if you're only familiar with the old Greek idea of I let you off the hook for what's happening inside of me, then we invite you to go to our website for free access to the Aramaic technology of forgiveness. And on the right-hand side, about 6 links down, you'll see a link that says Download Worksheets. Up in the very upper right-hand corner, you can click on a link there and listen to a sample radio show where we walk somebody through the forgiveness process. And then once you click on the Download Worksheets, the first 7 links give you the whole story of forgiveness as well, along with 4 live radio shows where we actually walk somebody through the step-by-step process of forgiveness. And when you listen and you hear how the energy shifts as people forgive, I mean, it's live right there on the air, and you can hear the shift that happens, you will know what we're talking about when we're talking about forgiveness. Now, I don't care what's going on in your world. I don't care what's going on in your life. I don't care how rageful, how fearful, how traumatic, how terrible, how disastrous, how ugly, how nasty, how whatever words you want to apply to it, situations are in your life. If you begin to use the forgiveness process, I commit to you that those situations will begin to change. You have the power to do that. I don't care what's going on in your world. And what we need on the planet is enough people who understand that and are willing to go to work with it, to take the level of responsibility it takes to clean up the mind based in hostility or fear and create a different world. And when you do, and you know, we did 2 intensives over the last 4 or 5 weeks, and if you listen to the shows throughout those last few weeks, actually since April, it's not even that long. April the 6th, I think it was, we started our first one. And if you listen to shows since then and you listen to the change in people's voices, people who called in earlier and then called in later after doing the work of the intensive, it's absolutely amazing what happens. So we invite you to pick up the tool. It's there, freely available. Nothing to believe, nothing to accept, nothing to join, no dues to pay. Nobody to believe in. Take the tool, put it to work. You'll know that it is true because you'll watch it work. And so that's our invitation, is join us in engaging in this internal process of forgiveness where you become willing to unload every form of hostility or fear that you have ever experienced or that anyone in your bloodline has ever experienced. So that's where we're heading. Download those materials from the site. They're yours for free, and we are here. You can also download the book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again, in several languages and do it freely. Let's get these tools out and around the planet and watch the changes that occur. It's pretty awesome, pretty amazing. So, Jeanie, do we have any callers or anything happening in the chat room? Any questions in the chat room?
There's nothing in the chat room, so if you want to listen out there in 1 minute, please hit refresh. The chat room needs that, but there's nobody out there, so there must be some kind of a glitch because that's highly unusual. We do have
if you can get a little closer to your microphone, Jeanie, it's kind of hard to hear you.
Well, I think it's because the wind's blowing up here.
Better, much better.
Okay, so anyway, there's nobody in the chat room at all, so if everybody would hit refresh, it is open, but that's just highly unusual that nobody's in it. We do have a caller. It's area code 989. You're on the air.
Welcome, 989. Give us a name and where are you calling from? Hello, 989. You're on the air. I can hear some noises back there, but I'm not getting a voice yet. 989, you're on the air.
Well, until they come on, David is also with us.
David, how are you, sir? I just called you a few minutes ago, and when we talked earlier this morning, you were on the beach in Sarasota, so I called you to see if you were still on the beach because we just arrived here. And we're sending sunshine and these beautiful 80-degree temperatures to everybody in our listening audience, wherever you are. If you're up in that cold and frozen north, or you're somewhere in the Middle East or somewhere off in Asia, we're here sending warmth and heat if you're not warm or hot in the area you're in, and we're also sending the presence of our love to support you in this learning. And so are you still on the beach, David?
No, I'm not, Michael. I left about a half an hour ago, came over to my brother's, walked his dog, and just settling in. I spent several hours out there, and a lot of sun, beautiful weather, great people that were there, and I'm just returned to the house, so take care of the dog and do a couple of things around here. So I'm glad you're on the beach, enjoying it. It is a fabulous experience for anyone that's never been to a beach, and sometimes I find it interesting, I do find it interesting when I talk with people that have never had that experience of being on a beach, and it is so awesome, at least it's my experience with it, to be able to tap into the power of that. You know, it's so incredible. To me, I think about the word to be in awe of, and the language is my understanding of it, the interpretation. To fear God really means to be in awe of God. And when I'm on the beach or at flying or looking at, the incredible universe, then I get that sense of awe. And that's what I was experiencing all day today. So, ready for some calls, ready for some questions out there, see where people are at, see what they're interested in covering today.
Awesome. Well, I was actually raised on Lake Ontario, and we were just a few hundred feet from the beach. As I was a kid, it was an awesome way to grow up. And being on the ocean is a whole different beach experience from being on Lake Ontario. And the energy, I don't know if you can hear in the background. Of course, my ears can hear, and the phone may be muting it a little bit, but can hear that constant flow of waves in the background, and I hope that's creating a nice lullaby in the background for this show. And it is an awesome experience to have and to be blessed enough to participate in. I just walked up over the boardwalk where we are staying or visiting, and there was a gentleman there in his shirt and tie eating his little box lunch, and we struck up a conversation, and he was sharing, how it's so nice for him to just walk away from his office. I guess he works in an office close here. I'm not sure, maybe the hotel across the road, and how it's nice to just turn his back, walk away, and just look at the ocean during his lunch. And we were talking about water and how, insane our culture is and the way we use water. And he was throwing out the question, which is kind of interesting, kind of a Joe businessman kind of guy, but throwing out the question or the thought of how bizarre our culture is and the things that we've come to accept and believe, and especially how we use water in our culture and the waste that we do with water. And his comment was that if we're held accountable in our lives individually and collectively for what we do, people who run the norm of the hypnosis of this culture have got a lot to account for. And it's true, the energetic interruption that we have become to the earth with the way we live in this culture is akin to being a parasite. And it's time for us, instead of being parasites on the planet and consuming it like we own it, to becoming inhabitants of the planet and caretakers of this awesome gift, this awesome home that we were given, the keeping of it clean and the care of the environment and the resources that we've been given so generously and so abundantly. that we care for it. So it was an interesting conversation, and certainly something that we want to promote here with this work. This part and parcel of being a human being. And, you know, when we talk about functioning as a human being, our definition of a human being is hold a newborn child and you know exactly what human life is. And as you become aware of your human life, to function out of that human life is to be a caretaker and a caregiver to the planet and all of the resources that we have, as well as to become the supporters and the caring beings about those around us, those who are in the same situations we are, the same family systems or same cultures we are, and those who perhaps live in different cultures that we don't approve of, perhaps. You know, there's an ancient teacher who said the first requirement of the law was to have love for every neighbor, and the word neighbor in his language meant everybody that you think about. And we have developed cultures who really believe that they have the truth, that they know it all, and yet there are members of the culture that they always go to condemn horrific places. If somebody's just in the car or something, if you could hit your mute button, that would be nice. So those who believe they've actually got truth and are willing to condemn any aspect of our culture or any of our fellow creatures, I invite them to think again, because the dogma that holds that there's somebody who deserves our condemnation, our hostility, our threats, is an insane dogma and one that needs to be rethought and brought to correction in the light of the teachings that we've come to understand. So we're here to open the space for that and to move into that connected space of our human lives. And with the challenges we've had with the radio show for the last few days, I don't know what's happening. Normally we've got a half a dozen callers in line at this point. And, Jeanie, do we have anybody that's gotten through at this point?
We do. 954, you're on the air, and then we have another call waiting.
Awesome.
954, you're on.
Hi, my heart family. This is Nene.
Hi, Nene.
Hello, Nene. How are you, young lady?
I'm doing great, thank you. Well, very happy, and it's a reminder that tonight we have the Latin support group, which is in Coral Springs. And so everybody's invited if you speak Spanish and English or Spanish only, and if you just want to come, and it's great. We're going to continue with the purpose in life. Second part, but we're talking about when you suppress your emotions and how it affects the glands and your body, and then how to revert the process.
Very cool. So that's tonight in Coral Springs, and you can get the information for Nene's support group tonight at www.whyagain.com. And the flyer will be there to tell you the address. Or if you want to call Nene, your phone number, Nene, is 954
607-9539.
607-9539. So if you want to talk to Nene and get directions to the support group tonight, starts at 7, Nene?
Yeah, it will start at 7:30. We invite people to be there around 7:15, so we start at 7:30 because I know the traffic, it's a little bit west.
Right.
But we start sharp 7:30, usually at 9:45 until that time, because we take a short break.
Okay.
And, bring your questions, you're doing your worksheets, and then always bring pen and paper and your super self.
Awesome. Well, anything new and exciting in your process or your world today?
Well, I'm very
for us?
pleased. I'm very pleased. Last week I had that intense weekend with one group after the next one, and things are opening for me in different ways. As you know that I got my green card finally, and I'm starting to get some connections. Yeah, it was awesome. I'm starting to get connections to teach tango again, which it was dormant a little bit. And I'm experiencing more joy every day, really. And the more I do it, I see more people doing, and I am very happy to continue being an inspiration to other people as well.
It's interesting how we teach best that which we most need to learn, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yes. And I wanted to say that I was watching your DVD about purpose in life and commitment, and a phrase that really touched me in sparking my interest and my awareness was when you say that we are authors of our genetics, not just victims, that we can really, part of being empowered or gaining our personal power is to heal through the true forgiveness. And I read that and I understood, that's when you start the healing of your emotions and how the cells start to also capture again their vitality.
Right. Well, and it's interesting as you bring that topic up. We live in a culture on a planet where that idea has been virtually unknown ever, and it's a relatively new idea. And as such, most people who touch into the idea are kind of in the space of, that sounds good. I got 5 minutes and $5. Tell me everything you know. But in fact, what it requires, as you know, having started to do this work about 16 months or so ago, and the way you've dug in, it requires investing in the understanding of how this structure works, and then to learn to become the operator of it. If you think about the person who sat down in front of a computer the first time, to become proficient at any part of, even just to check email of using a computer, takes many, many, many hours. And to become proficient at the overall use of the computer, most people spend thousands of hours to do that. And when you recognize that the operating system, whether you've got a Mac or an IBM system, the operating system is something that's been in development for, perhaps just a little better than a half a century, and has been developed by and programmed by some of the most brilliant programmers on the planet. And if you look at when a glitch comes up, how much time it takes to build the brain cells to understand it, and how to repair it and what needs to be done, can take dozens and dozens and dozens more hours just to repair one little glitch. And when you use that as a comparison and you recognize that the operating system that it runs on a level of genetics has been in development for thousands of years, is infinitely more complex than any IBM or any Mac or any Cray system ever thought about being, and that it's been programmed by some of the dumbest programmers that ever existed, some of the most hostile, rageful, grief-stricken, pain-stricken, insane programmers ever to exist, you get some sense of what you're going to have to invest to become the master of your own operating system. And what forgiveness work really means is going in and moving out the bugs, removing the insane parts, those resonant programs that operate on an instant's notice, even when we've chosen 100 times and said, no, I'm never going to do that again, how they just pop right in. Because we have not yet learned how to get to the root of those things. We have not invested the time that it takes to understand and to decode those parts of our minds. And so this work is really about learning to decode those deeper parts of the mind and then remove what never belonged, and to recognize that if we refuse to do that, then what life is going to do is it's going to send us somebody with the decoder, somebody who will play those things out for us in true living color and Dolby sound. And the work of recognizing that and undoing what never belonged is a deep, long-term commitment. And we're here to support everybody in that commitment and coming to the level of skill where we've literally restructured everything in the genetics that is based in anything other than human life, so that our physiology and our genetics become a fit home for a human life. And the human life, of course, our definition's easy: hold a newborn child. that's what your physiology was designed to embody. If that's not what your genetics support, then it's kind of hard for human life to express there. And this work is about making space within yourself. There's an interesting line in the Aramaic Lord's Prayer that can be properly translated as, carve out a space in us for your wholeness, the wholeness you have created for us. And so that the forgiveness process is about carving out that space, and then by embodying, living out the purpose of our human lives, and of course that's the focal point of that workshop, Purpose, Personal Power, and Commitment you're doing tonight. And I'll be looking forward. Maybe tomorrow you can give us a shout and let us know, give us some of the details, the blow-by-blow description of how it unfolds.
Yes. Great. Awesome. Yes, thank you very much. And as I translated the material, I also translated the chart, the physiological effects on emotional suppression. I translated it and I sent it to Jeanie, so you can have it there on the website.
Well, we'll load it up on the website. We can get her done. Thank you.
Yep. Okay.
All right. Have a blessed
thank
one.
You so much.
Say hello to everybody at the support group, and we'll be down there in a couple of weeks. We'll look forward to taking part in that support group.
Great. Ciao.
All right, blessings. Thanks for the call today.
Nene, I have not gotten the chart, so if you would email it to me again, that would be great, because I have not gotten it. So we do have another caller, area code 904. You're on the air.
Welcome, 904. Give us a name. Where are you calling from? Hello, 904. We're here with you. We're in Jacksonville Beach, too, which is, or Jacksonville, where you are, with 904 area code. Give us a name and where are you calling from?
Hello.
Hey, we can hear you.
Okay, I just got a call from somebody else, and this is Dave, your old friend from Celebrations in Spring Hill, Florida, back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Awesome.
Yeah, we.
Very cool. Well, David, it was good to see you at Unity on Sunday, and nice to connect. And it sounds like you're ready to do the next level of your work. So it's exciting to have you here and available to be at the workshops this week. And tell us a little bit about your experience of doing the work that we present. What's happened to you over the years since you were exposed?
Well, it goes right along with my beliefs. And what I have been in the 12-step program for many, many, many years, and that's because I've had what I'm discovering by not digging into my past, but letting my past come up as it will, is some very deep issues from my childhood. And it helps, the process that you teach helps me to put love into there. There's only one family member left, and it's a real challenge. He's 10 years. He was my 10-year older brother. It's a very big challenge for me to so-called forgive him, to release. And
well, we're going to invite you to and suggest to you that you never forgive him ever, 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 because that would be a big mistake. But if you have some realities of hostility or fear from your relationship with him, from your interaction with him,
I've noticed a great deal of fear lately, because I'm just letting it. I'm not denying it. I'm not running from it. I'm accepting it with love, and I feel the fear. I feel how I recreate fearful situations to, because that old comfort of home sort of thing, that.
Right, the good old family feeling.
Oh, yes. I grew up in fear, that's for sure.
So the forgiveness process, and you'll be reminded that on Sunday in the Why Is This Happening to Me Again workshop, and, we've refined the process a lot since you saw it back, I guess it's probably the early 90s, the last time you saw it. But the forgiveness process is about how you go in and collapse your capacity to experience fear and remove that fear. It's got nothing to do with forgiving your brother. It's It's got to do with going in and collapsing your capacity to produce fear. And as you do, you show up as the human being that you are and remove everything that inhibits it. So I think there's going to be a really sweet new piece of the work that will become clear again on another level, especially with all the work you've done with the 12 steps. It fits perfectly. And then the tool that we're going to present on Sunday really correlates well with the fourth step, and it becomes like a perpetual fourth step. And I think you'll be really excited when you see it in that context.
I hope if there's anybody listening from my 12-step family in San Marco or St. Nicholas or any, because I've been to all the meetings around town at one time or another in my last 12 years.
Right.
I strongly recommend this. It's something I can't bring up at meetings. In such a program as Alcoholics Anonymous, for example, the people do not want to drink, and that has to be a major focus for them, because each concept which seems to work for most people, that just one drink, one deliberate drink, that's the important thing, one deliberate drink, the whole crash. So I'm careful about introducing new spiritual concepts to people in 12 steps. But I myself love it. It's the life stream for me to be involved in enlightened spirituality.
Well, we have some flyers, and I don't know that there's a prohibition against anyone who's ready to take the work to another level. I know that we do a lot of work in 12-step groups, and have a lot of 12-step people who really acknowledge that going to this level on forgiveness has enhanced their whole 12-step process. So maybe tomorrow when we connect, we'll hand you off some of those flyers, and you can spread them around a little bit.
Well, it's definitely relative. Very definitely relative. Why is this happening to me again? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's kind of the question of the age in the AA circles, isn't it? And I feel very blessed the universe reserved that title for me.
Yeah, that's great.
Very cool. Well, any questions around the work that we can support you with today, David?
Well, yes, if I can put it into words. I'll try to get to it. It's kind of not in my mind right now, but the concept of past lives comes in. That might help me to remember. Well, how about life after death? That's sort of the subject.
Well, the man named Yeshua, when they asked him, actually, that'll be something I'll address on Sunday morning in the service. The man named Yeshua, they asked him, about this thing about how do I inherit eternal life? And in essence, his answer is get a life first. Start off and have a human life now before you start being concerned about an afterlife. And a human life, in this work we define as hold the newborn child. And every moment when we are not experiencing that awesome presence of love of our newbornness, our human lives are gone. And so the first order of business becomes that reclaiming from the hostility and fear-based mind the human beingness that we are. And that becomes the first order of business. Once you get that handled and you're living in your humanness continuously, 24/7, 365, the afterlife will take care of itself. There'll be no need to question it or think about it. And then, of course, the whole past life thing, I've seen people over the years who have experienced what their mind presents as a past life, and if they work with the tools and move through it, process through it, they make monumental progress. Now, for me, that does not document that there's such a thing or that what's happening is a past life. That is certainly one explanation, and if it comes up that way, I suggest that people treat it that way. But it could just as easily be explained as the creative mind's way of presenting something to us in a way we can handle it. To me, the key is it really doesn't matter. I see people who get engaged in this whole past life conversation, and they become so mesmerized with that. You know, they were the king of Sheba, they were the queen of this, or they were the, you know, there weren't many street sweepers. And so when we handle this life,
that's a pretty bad one.
Say it again?
Go ahead. I wasn't a street sweeper, but I had a pretty bad experience. So-called, I had a past life regression given to me on my birthday one time, and I didn't like it.
Yeah. Well, and again, it could just as easily be explained as the mind's creative way of presenting something in a way that we can handle it. And so I suggest people don't get all invested in past lives. Live this life as a human being, handle what this life serves up, and things will move forward, I think, at the most accelerated pace they can. That's my best input.
Yeah, it could have just as easily been a movie I saw at the age of 8, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yep.
I'd like to offer, if I may, I have some thoughts on the death experience. If a person doesn't believe that we go to another life, it doesn't matter whether we believe that or not. In either case, we don't die, because if we were to die, if we were to stop living entirely when we die, there's no experience after the moment of death to describe death for us. When we so-called die, other people will see us die, but we won't see us die because we won't even exist after that. So the death for us doesn't actually occur. But if we have a past, if we go into a future life, then death doesn't have the meaning that we would normally put to it, because it's just a transition to another thing.
No.
Is that a bit too complex?
That's a possibility, but I prefer to stick with the conversation of what's happening today and what's the work we need to do today in order to truly live our human lives to the fullest, to live as the active presence of love here and now today. That's, to me, what's most important.
I appreciate that, Mike.
All right, sir. Well, we'll look forward. We're going to have a conversation tomorrow, so we'll touch in the morning and look forward to talking to you then.
Okay, great.
Okay, blessings, David. Thanks for the call. All right.
Okay, we have another caller, area code 989. You're on the air.
Yes, hello.
Hi. Hello, 989. How are you? Give us a name and where are you calling from?
Hi, my name's Kelly, and I'm calling from Michigan.
Welcome. What part of Michigan?
I'm right in the middle there, so like Midland area.
Oh, okay. Very cool. Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I just had a question. I guess I was wondering if you could, like, really quick go over the website again for me to go to. And also, I just was, I struggle a lot with being overwhelmed, like, with everything. So I just wasn't sure, like, where I get overwhelmed because I just don't know where to start. I have a lot of problems with anxiety, depression, motivation, just everything. So, we
got tools for you.
Great.
We have lots of people who start to do this work with exactly the conversation you're having, and if you put the pen to the paper and go to work with it a month from now, and you call into the show, our conversation is going to be a totally, completely different one, and you're not going to know you're living in the same world. So
wow,
the website,
that'd be awesome.
Yep, it's doable. We've watched thousands of people do it. We actually did a 9-day intensive we just finished about a week ago, but actually now almost a week and a half. And there was a young lady there, if you listen to the show from yesterday, I believe it was yesterday's show, and then from last week she called in and she had, her take was that on the level of 1 to 100, the 3 decades plus of her life, she lived at a level 100 in fear. And
that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, well, that's where she lived. And if you listen, I believe, and Jeanie might know for sure, it was yesterday's show that she called in. And actually, Jeanie read a letter that we got from her. And listen to yesterday's show in the archives. It will inspire you, because that's where this young lady was. And she dug in that intensive and did her work and has totally turned her life around. The place you can access the tools on our website is www.whyagain.com. It's www.whyagain.com. cultivatingagain.com. And on the right-hand side, you'll see a link that says download worksheets.
Oh, okay.
The first 7 links is where you want to start. The first link is chapter 24 of my book. And that lays out the forgiveness process and explains, basically the why and how of it. The second link is the reality management worksheet, the most current worksheet that we use. The third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh links are radio shows where we've given somebody instructions personally, step by step by step, to go through the process. So you've got at least 4 different sets of personal instructions, and each one is a worksheet on different types of issues. So it really, if you listen to all 4 of them, they're each a 1-hour show, basically.
Nice.
And we just walk somebody through the process. So you've got custom instructions for doing it. As you begin to put the pen to the paper with that worksheet, we are absolutely delighted if there's any part of it that doesn't make sense. And the first worksheet you might want to do might be on overwhelm, and to start to move through that state of overwhelm, because I know that if we live life without tools, the mind gets so full of its challenges and its hostilities and its fears and its griefs and its pains that to start to move through it is a major challenge. But if you just start with small issues, small situations, you will see changes that are so monumental. The first worksheet that's on that list of download worksheets was a woman who's a medical doctor, actually, who lived out in the western part of the country. We had just done a series of workshops out in Oregon, and a friend of hers introduced her just a few days after we left that area. She missed the workshops, and so she called us on the show and, what is this forgiveness? And I know I need to do it. And she was ready to do a worksheet. And we start her off, and she's got a current life event happening where her father passed away about a year ago, and the person who's the executor of the estate is supposed to be taking care of his property, and one of those properties being a house that's in a very high moisture area, and it wasn't properly cared for, and basically did a great deal of damage to the house. And so she's got anger about that, and she starts out her worksheet working on that. And as she's going through the worksheet, and it's just awesome to listen to that particular show. It's one of the most awesome worksheets I've ever walked anybody through, because she goes partway through it, and all of a sudden she gets in touch with, she's a medical doctor, and about 20 years earlier, she had counseled and worked with a young boy who had cancer, who was 8 years of age, and using nutritional means healed him.
Oh, wow.
And his oncologist, of course, having no more business, came after her tooth and nail and had her license taken away. And she talks about the level of rage that she had toward him. She actually mentions how she fantasized about getting a gun and going and killing him.
Oh, no.
And then she moves further through the worksheet, and you can hear the whole energetic shift and process in her voice, and all of a sudden she's like, oh, my God, this is all about my relationship with my father as a kid, and ends up working through this kid issue with her father. And the space she comes to is one of connected love and compassion for all 3 situations, like major change. And you can just hear the live shift and change in her voice, as well as the instructions for the worksheet. So that'll be a good place to start. I think you'll find it inspiring. And you're about to engage in a roller coaster ride that's going to take you through some deep places. And if you stick with the tools and use it, I promise you 30 days from now, you're not going to know you're living in the same world.
Wow, that would be great. Yeah, my biggest problem is the motivation to get started, too. It's just like, oh, my goodness, I get so, depressed. So
I understand. Well, one of the things that you might want to do, you can go to our website, and there are archives for the shows. And there are some shows we did where we talk about purpose, personal power, and commitment. Mm-hmm. You might listen to those shows in particular out of the archives. There are over 300 shows in the archives, and/or there's a DVD that you can order from our website under products, order products, and there's a DVD called Purpose, Personal Power, and Commitment. And we explain in that workshop just exactly what it is that causes and creates stress and how to delete and remove stress.
Oh, wow.
And so that particular workshop, that DVD, might be one that you might want to order, and it gets into a thing called the Mind Goal Management Sheet, and it just shows you how to just literally click, 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 delete your stress. Just start moving the stress out of your structure and come to a place where your mind and all its resources are available to you rather than being overloaded with stress. So that might be a good starting place for you, aside from listening to that show with the worksheet process.
Well, gosh, thank you so much for all your information. I'm really looking forward to looking at it and get started for sure.
Delighted, and we'll be. How far are you from Lansing?
Oh, I would say not very far. Probably about maybe at the most 2 hours.
Okay. Well, there's a teacher in Lansing of our work, a fellow named Rex Montague Bauer, and his wife Mitzi. And they do support groups every other week, and his website is stillpointbreathoflife.com. You might want to check on that, and as you start working with the worksheets, maybe connect in and make the journey to Lansing one of the evenings when he's doing a support group, or one of the weekend workshops that he does, and maybe key in and do some live work with him. And we'll be up in that direction at some point, and if you want to communicate through the chat room or what have you, or through the website, your contact information and email address, we'll keep you posted.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
You'll keep in touch. Well, I'm delighted, and I hope you'll keep in touch with us so that we can support you along the way. How did you get in touch with the show and the work?
Actually, I actually have a show on Blog Talk Radio, but I don't do it very often. I was trying to kind of step out of my comfort zone a little bit, but and I've been listening to Blog Talk Radio for quite a few years. I love all the shows, and even that's overwhelming because then you got to decide what show to listen to. So
right, there you go.
Here will definitely be my number one show.
Well, that purpose, personal power, and commitment will be helpful to you in doing that. And, of course, we're here live 5 days a week, ready to support you with any questions you have as you engage the process. It can be a little confusing at first or bring up confusion, and we'll support you through that and getting clarity.
Oh, well, thanks so much, and I appreciate you and how you're helping a lot of people. So.
Awesome. Delighted.
Take care. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
Kelly, glad to be on the team. We'll look forward to hearing from you. Blessings.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. We do have one more caller. We're down to about 10 minutes. So this is area code 517. You're on the air.
Well, hello there, Michael and Jeanie and Dr. Tim and David and everyone.
Hi there.
Well, hey, Rex, how are you? We were just talking about you. You probably heard.
I did hear. I've been listening to the program, and it's interesting. What's her name, Kelly?
Kelly, yes.
Yes, and Kelly lives, if she's in Midland, she lives in the same city Brea, my daughter does.
Oh,
so
cool.
It might also be a support system for her to connect, because Brea is always looking for people of like mind. And in addition to that, I wanted to mention that, so Kelly was, to make sure she was aware of it, and all our listeners, that we are doing the Why Is This Happening to Me Again workshop on Saturday.
Awesome.
In East Lansing, so that would be perfect too, Kelly. If we'd love to have you join us. And it is a bit of a drive, but I can almost guarantee that it'll be worth every moment to take to learn the tools and apply them, as Michael has spoken. So I wanted to mention that.
And what time is the workshop on Saturday? Is it Saturday? What time is it, Rex?
Yes, we start right at 9:30, and I ask everybody to come at 9:15.
So 9:15, and it'll be 3 hours, 3.5 hours?
We run till 1:30, yeah.
9:15 to 1:30, so you're welcome, and it's a free open workshop?
Yes, we're going to I'm going to open it up at the end of the workshop. If anyone wants to support the work, they're welcome to make a love offering, a voluntary donation. But other than that, yes, it is offered with no requirements as far as pay or anything like that, but anybody can definitely give if they'd like, just like you do, Michael.
Awesome, Rex. And where's the workshop going to be on Saturday?
This will be at the Full Spectrum Family Medical Center in East Lansing. And as you mentioned, they can check my website at stillpointbreathoflife.com and go to the calendar and then click on the day, and it'll give them the directions.
Cool. And do you want to give out your phone number if Kelly wants to call you directly?
Absolutely. It's area code 517-449-1177.
Repeat it once more.
517-449-1177.
Cool. And Kelly, as Rex said, his daughter Brea lives in your town, and Brea, who's now, let's see, I think in her early 20s, started her first journey to Heartland, our teaching center, to do some of our residential courses there back in, I believe she was 13 the first time she came, maybe 12. And so she's been doing the work for a long time, and so it'd probably be cool to connect in with her. She's an awesome young lady, and it'd be nice to hear you connect with her. So fabulous, fabulous. So Rex, how goes your process? Anything new or exciting? And last week we were working with some issues around your interaction with people in your home and some of those sorts of issues. How is that? How's the upshot of all that unfolding?
Well, it's been very empowering. I've gotten in touch with a lot of different issues with things that would appear to be specifically related, and then also things that are just on the fringes, but they're all related. And the interactions have been clean, and for the most part, been doing much better. Continuing the process. I've had an experience of a little resistance at times coming up doing the worksheets, which I found kind of interesting, and still plugging away and sticking at it.
No. You've had resistance? Really? No.
I did.
I've never had that happen. I've never had that happen, and I've never seen anybody have resistance to that before.
Yes. I think this would be a great definition of what's called facetious. That's hard to say. And yes, so I did a lot of real good stuff. I did the Mind Shifter Stillpoint breathing workshop last weekend, and we had a relatively small group, but everyone seemed to get what they were looking for in that session, which was really exciting. And it's a wonderful workshop, and I'm doing that at the end of the month every month. I made that commitment, and I'm going to change this. The end of May is going to be the first weekend in June because it falls on a holiday. But other than that,
right.
It turned out great, and I felt really good about my workshop. The one I did before, I felt I was lackluster, which, you and I talked about privately, and it was kind of a tongue-in-cheek where we both as teachers realized, well, some days you feel really connected and on, and some days, it isn't necessarily that way. And I had one of those days, and the last one was just the opposite. I felt it was a very powerful workshop. I felt really connected to the material and the work, and just exciting about watching it go forward. And you say it over and over again, Michael, is that we teach what we need to learn most, and that is 100% accurate. And I am committed to learning the truth and knowing the truth.
Awesome. Well, you have our support, and we're delighted for the work you're doing. We actually just posted a new schedule on our website for this summer. You were talking about maybe coming down this summer, and
yes.
We're going to start out on the 12th of July with a 10-day food fund forgiveness and work project where it'll be kind of the opening session to get Heartland ready. It'll be kind of an economy program, and that 10-day session, Ari is going to be there doing some fabulous new recipes for the whole crew that people will be able to get their hands on and learn the food process that we do using fresh and raw, and in this case there's going to be some cooked foods as well. So that'll be the 12th, and then I believe it's the 23rd we start a 9-day Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And what we're doing is if someone has done a 9-day Why workshop previously, which you did one about 30 years ago, or no, not quite that, 22, 23 years ago in Michigan.
Yep. Yes, we did.
So the price on that 9 day is going to be half in order to review it, and to add teachers training in. We've got several different kind of review specials and that sort of thing. So if you decide to come and play, let us know. That would be awesome. But the new data is on the website, and we'll be doing a mailing with a flyer on that within the next few days too. So
excellent.
Very cool. Glad to have you on the team, sir.
Absolutely. It's wonderful to be a part, and I am very seriously considering the 9-day Y teacher training. That's what I'm probably looking at, because to take much more than that time off from my work here and what I'm doing here as far as working with my clients and such, maybe a little more. But that looks like it might be doable, and that's what I'm kind of shooting for.
Cool. Awesome. Well, we'll look forward to it, Rex, and you have a blessed one. Thanks for calling in.
And thank you for everything.
Okay. So, Kelly, there's some serendipitous information where Rex's daughter, who's been doing this work for, over half of her life now. She was first introduced, I think, that Brea was probably about maybe 5 the first time she sat in a Why Is This Happening to Me Again workshop. So she lives in your town, and so it'd be cool for you to connect with her and create support. Maybe even get a support group going there in your hometown there in Michigan. So anyway, Jeanie, we're getting down close to the wire. A couple of minutes left. Do we have anything happening in the chat room or any other callers? It's nice that we're getting our callers through again.
Right. No, there's nothing in the chat room and nobody else on the switchboard. We just had a hand go up.
Oh, all right. Let's go for it.
Area code 702, you're on the air. Well, they just dropped off. 702, we're down to about 3 minutes.
Okay, that was probably Dr. Andraki, so let's see if he calls back in again. I know that sometimes his phone signal out where he is there in the boonies in the Mojave Desert isn't always the best signal, so let's see if he calls back in, and it'd be a delight to hear from him and what's happening out there with the work. Dr. Andraki is a medical doctor who's associated with several clinics out there, and actually a year and a half ago now we spent several months in the Las Vegas and Pahrump, Nevada area and trained 20 medical assistants doing the forgiveness process within his practice, and it's just awesome to see what he's doing, and he's especially working with people in addictions recovery from some of the prescription drug addiction, and both legal and illegal, and getting people freed of that. So it's pretty exciting the way he's introducing forgiveness to folks. And so,
Stephen, is that you on the air? 702?
Hello, 702, you're on the air.
Hi,
Hello.
Stephen.
Hello. Hi, Jeanie.
Hey there, Dr. Andraki. How are you, sir?
We're doing fine.
Awesome.
It's always good to listen. Wednesday morning's the time that we get to listen. It's always a pleasure to hear you explaining things so clearly. Can't ever hear it enough. And we've got our work group tomorrow night, and hoping for good turnout and some good work.
Awesome. Well, it's fabulous what you're doing out there, and we're looking forward to getting back there on our tour. We still haven't really gotten to looking at exactly how things are going to unfold for us this next season of travel, but we've readjusted our summer schedule to actually do the teachers training, and then we're going to the next day be on the road and heading up to Canada, and then heading west from there. But we're down to a few seconds. Or anything to share with us, or question or thought, Dr. Stephen?
No, just thank you for all that you're doing, and we're trying to do our part here in Nevada. So I'll be in touch, and we'll continue to listen whenever we can.
Awesome. Well, we're blessed to have you listening and supporting us, and we're glad to be supporting you. And tell Claudia we said hello. We send our blessings. And we'll look forward to seeing you before too much time passes. And everybody, we invite you to bring a stranger to the show tomorrow. If you have a question for us, we are absolutely delighted to entertain your questions and support you in this process of learning forgiveness and how to create the best year yet of your eternal life, because that's what you're about to do. Take care. Blessings. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Mind Shifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Rice, and his wife Jeanie, who present the internal Aramaic process of forgiveness. Michael and Jeanie are here every Monday through Friday on Earth Angels Radio. For more on Michael and Jeanie, please visit www.whyagain.com. That's www.whyagain.com.